Illegal drug trade a concern for PNG's closest neighbour. More threats to shut down LNG project. And Baruni Villagers questioned sale of land portions.
This is National MTV News with Helen Seah.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Friday's news. Landowners in the affected PNG LNG project of Hela have announced threats to shut down the project. They say this will be the option and last resort if the state fails to address and pay outstanding infrastructure development grants for Hela. The landowners are also insisting for a separate report from the state regarding past IDG payments to whom and for what impact project.
This is the last attempt to get the state's attention over IDG payments for Hela province. PDL landowners have united to make a bold stand for the government to release nearly 500 million kina in IDG funding. A concerned landowner says they will shut down the project if the plea is ignored by the state.
You have failed it. Now everyone's fighting for government attention, and we are all just begging the courts and fighting for justice. We're giving this 14 days ultimatum now to the state. This money should be paid to National Planning and Department of Petroleum Energy through EIC, which is captured in the agreement.
The landowners also highlighted that under the UBSA and LBSA agreement signed in Kokopo in 2009, Hela provincial government was not a signatory. However, IDGs were paid to the provincial purse. They do not prefer the next and last batch of payment to the provincial government.
Hela provincial government money development levy. Help provincial government. IDG Pawangiram. Working school, elementary school, bridge, housing, charges.
A 14-day petition is now before the state, including the office of the Prime Minister and government departments, stating the reasons to access these grants for service delivery. Many say communities in the affected project area need better health facilities, policing and other community projects.
But Mibla public grant yet, Mibla no testing for film. Money blow me yet. A big lawyer me spending plenty life I'm loose. Me blow wait. Even clan wedding or LG2 you blow no organizing good. You blow failing me blow good through. RG money blow blast. High impact project money blow levy development funding. Tax credit scheme all get you blow miss with him.
With the state holding back around 500 million kina in IDG, the landowners do not want another abuse of this funding. They are calling for a separate report of past IDG payments.
How much money you funding me go along an individual project proposal we are submitting? And to whom? All right. What is the state's position to replenish the IDG funding once the 1.2 billion kina allocation of IDG funding is depleted?
Jagla Pava Jr., National MTV News.
Transnational crime in the Pacific region is a worrying concern for Australia, with Papua New Guinea and other neighbouring countries being used as transit points for illegal trade. Australian High Commissioner to PNG, John Philp, emphasised on this during an interview with MTV News today. This has surfaced following the recent drug bust on the outskirts of Port Moresby after a plane crash which has been described as the country's biggest in history.
Transnational crimes are crimes that have effects across borders of countries. These may involve money laundering, human trafficking, and drugs. The Pacific Transnational Crimes Network is a collaborative arrangement that deals with these crimes with a multi-agency and regional approach. With Australia itself having experiences of being a transit point for transnational crimes,
we have also been a transit point in some areas and a source for some kinds of drugs. So when you think about the problem in that way, you see it cannot be solved except by cooperation with all the other countries involved.
The country, as a developed nation and major economy player in the Pacific region, has been dealing with these issues, but there is still a lot to uncover.
There is a Pacific transnational crime network of law enforcement agencies. and the PNGC Transnational Crime Unit is a part of that network. The Australian Federal Police, the Australian Government are very, very strong supporters of that network. We're very keen to work with it. And that's probably the key network that we have to cooperate with each other and with other countries across the Pacific and then into Southeast Asia to deal with transnational crime.
Meanwhile, the High Commissioner acknowledged that the recent major drug bust in PNG was a result of cooperation between the Australian Federal Police and the Royal PNG Constabulary.
So I know that the PNG government, Mr. Marape, are very keen to do everything they can to stop that. So as I say, it's been very good cooperation between the AFP and the RPNGC in this particular case. I've been very pleased.
In a news conference yesterday, opposition leader Belden Nama questioned PNG's national security.
Our national security apparatus obviously is ineffective. Since the incident up till now, there has been no clear statement by our leaders, especially the Prime Minister.
High Commissioner Philp said addressing transnational crime between Australia, PNG and other Pacific neighbours would be strengthened through partnership and collaboration. Australian government assistance to PNG through its aid program has involved the areas of education, health, infrastructure, governance, churches, police and defence force. One of the most recent assistance being a team of Australian medical workers sent to PNG to help efforts in the fight against COVID-19. Yesterday, an Australian-funded flight arrived in PNG, bringing 3 tons of essential medical supplies under a Pacific Islands Forum arrangement. Dennis Orere, National EMTV News.
A 5-man Supreme Court bench yesterday ruled in favour of sitting Madang Governor Peter Yama on the oral objection to competency on the election petition against Jerry Singarok. The decision, delivered through written judgment, summarised the court's ruling that Yama is the successful candidate in the 2017 national general election. This means Yama will continue to carry out duties as Governor of Madang. The 5-man bench comprised of Judges Sir Gibbs Salika, Justice David Cannings and Justice Panuel Mogish. Hela Regional Seat petitioner Francis Potape is dismayed with how the judiciary handled his election petition case. Potape says the High Courts did not rule on his petition points but dealt with other matters. The former governor says he will study the court ruling again and apply for a slip rule. This follows a decision granted by a 3-man bench dismissing the petition.
I am rejecting it. I am rejecting it on this ground alone. This decision is purely based on competency. This decision says my election petition was incompetent. I went to the 3-man Supreme Court based on competency alone. And the previous 3-man Supreme Court found that my grounds were pleaded properly, my petition was competent, and therefore it was ordered for trial to happen. And the trial happened. And in this decision does not talk about the trial and the findings of the trial judge. It talks about the competency again. The trial judge ordered for recount to happen because he said there are glaring errors committed by the agents of the Electoral Commission.
Study the judgment and see whether glaring errors are, because there is no option of review or appeal to any higher court than what we have today. This is the final court. The only option is the slip rule, which every person who is dissatisfied with the Supreme Court decision depends very much on very limited grounds and yeah.
Bougainville's Electoral Commissioner George Manu says preparations toward the Bougainville general election polling is on schedule and they are ready to start next week as planned. Over 250,000 eligible voters have their names registered on the final electoral roll, and the insertion of polling teams and materials is underway. Yesterday, presiding officers from the Office of the Bougainville Electoral Commissioner, who will be based at the 6 polling provinces outside of Bougainville, were deployed to the provinces. Manu also confirmed that because the election is being conducted during the SOE, COVID-19 measures will be observed at the polling stations. Whilst urging unregistered voters to vote and choose their leaders wisely, he called on all candidates to advise their supporters to refrain from causing any disturbances during this period to ensure it's safe for all voters and the public. You're watching National EMTV News. We'll be back with more stories after these messages. Stay with us. Welcome back. The East New Britain Chamber of Commerce will take tougher actions against police officers who are collecting fees from vehicle owners for breaching traffic rules. President David Stein says the Chamber of Commerce is determined to stamp out illegal practices by police confiscating licenses and impounding vehicles. They have offered to defend in court any driver or vehicle owner who has been treated unfairly by the traffic police. Stein says it is illegal for police to demand on-the-spot fine, but rather issue an infringement notice to the vehicle owners. The fines for traffic infringement should be handled by the East New Britain Transport Office and not by police personnel. The concern comes following ongoing instances where police officers at random roadblocks confiscate licenses, impound vehicles, and will only release them upon payment of a prescribed amount. The CEO of Morobe Health Authority, Kipas Binga, said from the 2 confirmed COVID-19 cases in Morobe, 1 was cleared of the virus today. Binga said a second swab was taken from the 37-year-old man that flew into Lae from Port Moresby almost 2 weeks ago. A second test was carried out and the results turned out negative. The person will travel back to Port Moresby soon.
The 37-year-old man was one of the passengers of Air Niugini's PX 106 on the 26th of July that flew into Lae from Port Moresby. He attended a health workshop the next day, felt unwell and was tested the next day. The result returned positive for COVID-19, confirmed by Gen Expert testing. He was in isolation for 7 days.
You make a double active case. Active means also, you got positive case lo binatan. One plan, but me clear him anytime today because me plus swabim him again, them come up negative. The second case, which I'll be very soon making that statement and talk law the patient involved, and we can actually free him for travel back to Port Moresby.
According to the Morobe Provincial Health Authority, there has been 1 confirmed case and more testing done since Sunday, 2nd of August. Morobe's Provincial Health Authority renewed its request for flights from Port Moresby to be cancelled until the outbreak in Port Moresby is controlled. However, the current pandemic orders released on Wednesday allow the airports to open.
It is now already evident as per the diagnoses that are made outside of Port Moresby that the people who are now getting infected are people who are traveling out and coming from Port Moresby to the provinces. At that point, I want to make it very clear. This is now evidence. Past time it was just assumptions that Moresby might be infecting us. Now it's no longer an assumption. It is already documented. We have 1 case in Morobe that has come from Moresby. There is now reported case in West Pacific Sundown Province because the person has returned from Moresby to there, and now we got case Western Province to 1 can. So we are now asking the authorities in Moresby not to stop all the flights, but at least we improve in the way we see the people who are using those for traveling purposes. One of them, our suggestion would be to put thermal cameras on the departure launch to screen properly people who are leaving Moresby to come out. Like when you go to Moresby, you are screened well to go into Moresby. The same must be done on the departure side. So people are screened well before they leave Moresby. One of the things we can also think about is every patient that or person that wishes to travel by air to other provinces at least must be a COVID-19 test negative 7 days prior to them purchasing tickets to fly. We are not going to stop COVID-19, that we understand, but at least we can do something to slow the progression of this disease in the community, because we just don't know what the story will be like for Papua New Guinea. We are just seeing the surface of the iceberg at this point in time.
The CEO of Morobe Provincial Health Authority, Dr. Kipas Binga, said during a media conference this morning that there is a high probability of increased cases in Morobe in the coming weeks. He said there's also a probability of community transmission.
We might see it, we might not, but the possibility is there. But at this point in time, Morobe, by definition, we don't have community transmission inlay. We have 3 cases, 2 were imported, 1 is currently an isolated case until he or his contact tests positive, then we will say that we have community transmission. At this point in time, we don't, but the probability is very, very high that we may already have community transmission in Ley and in Morobe.
Julie Badui, Owa, National MTV News, Ley.
Baruni Villagers in NCD are now questioning the sale of certain portions of land. This comes as villagers were attacked by settlers and 2 policemen hospitalized following confrontations over the use of fishing grounds along the Baruni Bay.
These are the horrendous pictures on social media of the policemen attacked at Baruni by alleged security guards guarding the premises of their boss. According to villagers, the policemen were attacked by the guards when they responded to a report placed by the villagers at the local police station. It is alleged that the villagers were trying to fish in a particular spot along the Baruni Bay when the guards approached them and told them to stop because it was part of their boss's property. The attack on the policemen and the villagers ignited community uproar, with villagers armed with weapons blocking off the road into the LNG plant site. Police were quick to intervene this morning. Police cleared the roadblock, but the villagers are adamant to get to the bottom of this issue, especially how land is being sold to companies and individuals. Baruni Councillor Edward Collette said they have drafted a petition and will be handing it to the NCD Governor, Central Governor and the Motu Koitabu Chairman. He said Baruni is in the Motu Koita area, but the bay in question is in Central Province. As police investigations continue and the people calling on the immediate arrest of the suspects, the petition will be handed to the leaders on Wednesday next week. Shamin Poreambeb, National MTV News.
The Independent Consumer and Competition Commission, ICCC, has announced the new retail fuel prices for the month of August. According to ICCC, the new retail fuel prices are expected to increase right across the country.
The maximum retail prices for fuel in Port Moresby are as follows: petrol 281.15 toya per litre, diesel 249.49 toya per litre, and kerosene 206.36 toya per litre. Retail prices in all other designated centres will change according to their approved in-country freight rates and their retail margins for 2020. These changes on average are as follows: petrol prices will increase by 3.91 toya per litre, diesel prices will increase by 8.16 toya per litre, and kerosene prices will increase by 5.59 toya per litre. ICCC would like to remind retailers who sell fuel pumps they may choose to sell below the approved maximum price and must set fuel prices to 1 decimal place, while ICCC will continue to set the maximum price to 2 decimal places. Consumers are advised to report any instances of overcharging by retailers to the ICCC's Consumer Protection Division on 325-2144. Yana Zoriri, National MTV News.
And now looking at the NASFund market report, the Kina opened unchanged at $0.288 in the interbank market this morning. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina is buying $0.2805, $0.3836 Australian dollars, $0.4163 New Zealand dollars, and 28.94 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading higher, coffee and cocoa closed higher, and copra closed lower. Crude oil is trading higher, palm oil closed higher, and copper closed lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed higher, the ASX 200 is trading higher, and the All Ordinaries is trading higher. And Trukai Sports is next. Kilawani is at the sports desk.
Thank you, Helen. PNG Volleyball Federation announces its calendar for the rest of the year. That story and more in Trukai Sports.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Football first. The Telecom S League, commonly known as the Solomon Islands League, now has two added staff leading Honiara City. They are Jerry Allen and Jerry Sam, both of whom are part of the Hekari United staff but are currently stuck in Solomon Islands due to the border restrictions caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Both will be coaching Honiara City in the 2020 Telecom S League until border reopens. Jerry Sam stated that the Honiara players are happy as both are a plus to their side. Sam expressed his confidence in the new and young side. The team will face Marist FC on Wednesday as its debut in the Major Football League. To volleyball, the Papua New Guinea Volleyball Federation has produced its calendar for the remaining part of 2020. Despite having long periods of lockdown affecting the activities, volleyball fans will not be disappointed. The Papua New Guinea Volleyball Federation has locked in the month of November to hold all major tournaments.
We're looking at November as the dates for the national, as the month for the national championship, and we'll consider as the under 21s and the opens to be played together. And those dates are from the 6th to the 8th of November. On Friday the 13th and 16th will be the national club championships, and on the Saturday 21st and Sunday 22nd will be the beach volleyball championships. So all our national championships will be going into the month of November.
Last year's national championships saw the likes of Vava, Vabukori, Fairfax, NCDVA, Kauka and Huon Gulf, high-profile associations in the Papua New Guinea volleyball fraternity. This year is set to see newcomers to the scene.
There are a couple of new associations that have been introduced, and a few of the likes of Taikone, Tava. There's a new association that's been introduced again from Babukori as well, that's Manobada. And then there are a few around in the southern regions, as well as the big village in Obada. Elevala is interested, so there are a few associations talking at the moment to also express the interest, particularly in the southern region.
The 2020 National Championships will also have competition coming in from outside of the southern region.
Alotau is interested to come back to the scene. We have Goroka that took part last year, Eastern Islands Province, so I would like to have them come back again in this year's National Championships.
And the Federation has also announced the date of its annual general meeting, which is set for the 7th of November 2020. This will see the election of new office bearers for a new term of 4 years. Nomination forms will be issued on the 9th of October and close on the 30th. Submissions will be received by Secretary General Ronald Omwa no later than 5 p.m. on the closing date. And that ends Trukai Sports. Helen will be back with the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Bye for now.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
A look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours in the southern region. Some rain drizzles tonight, then fine, although partly cloudy in the morning in Port Moresby. Mostly fine, partly cloudy in Daru. Rain drizzles tonight, then fine, cloudy morning in Kerma. Mostly cloudy in Alotau and some rain drizzles tonight, then fine, cloudy morning in Popondita. In the Mamasa region, light drizzles tonight, then mostly fine, partly cloudy morning in Leh. Mostly cloudy with light drizzles tonight, then fine morning in Medang. Mostly fine, partly cloudy though in Wewak, and mostly fine weather in Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine weather in Lorengau and Kavieng. Light drizzles tonight, then fine, partly cloudy morning in Kokopo and Rabaul. A few showers and drizzles tonight, then fine cloudy morning in Kimbe, and a thundery rain showers easing tonight to cloudy morning in Buka. And in the Highlands region, rain showers and drizzles tonight, then scattered morning fog in Mount Hagen. Occasional rain drizzles, then scattered morning fog patches in Goroka and Kondiawa, and numerous rain showers and drizzles, then scattered morning fog in Mendi and Wabeg. Forecast for small crafts within the coastal waters of Papua New Guinea for the next 24 hours. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait to Daru, through the Gulf of Papua to Yule Island, to Hood Point and to Samari Island, seas of 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, seas of 1 to 2 meters. Waters of Samari Island to East Cape, to Cape Bogle, to Huon Gulf, to Finschhafen, and with waters of Finschhafen through Vitiaz and Dampier Straits, to Siasi and Long Island, to Karkar Island, including waters of Karkar Island to Wewak, to Aitape to the northern PNG Indonesian border, and with waters of Manus and its western group of islands, with waters of New Ireland and Bougainville waters, including waters of eastern West New Britain, seas of 0.5 to 1.3 meters. A look at the ocean forecast for PNG areas. In the Coral Sea, seas moderate to fresh with northeast to southeast winds at 15 to 20 knots with gusts reaching up to 25 knots. In the Solomon Sea, seas moderate to fresh with east to southeast winds at 10 to 20 knots. In the Bismarck Sea, seas light to moderate with east to southeast winds at 10 to 20 knots. And in the Pacific Ocean, seas slight to moderate with east to southeast winds at 10 to 20 knots.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And that's been the news, sport and weather for Friday, 7th of August 2020. From all of us here at EMTV, pleasant viewing, be safe, bye for now.